Okay. Are we good, y'all? Y'all gotta let me know because it's my first time, so I don't exactly know if this has worked in the way that I needed to. So I'm gonna need y'all's feedback. I need y'all to let me know something. Let's see. Mm, Let me know something. Make sure everything is okay. We on YouTube, we on Instagram, are we on Facebook? That is the question. Let me see. Mm, Yes, we are on Can y'all hear me? Maybe that's the better question. If y'all can hear me, let me know something. Mm, mm. Okay, so then we good, right? I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and I'm on YouTube. Um, if you need me to post a link in the comments, I will do so. Let me see. Y'all can hear me, let me know. Okay. Okay. Well, it looks like we are um working properly. Hold on, wait, let me make sure the things are thinking. Okay. All right. So, um, last time I went live on my Facebook, I kind of announced that let me let me go ahead and put this on mute. But the last time I was on Facebook Live, I kind of mentioned that I was having a hard time, like kind of figuring out what I was gonna do as far as a studio. Um, because I wanted to do this in a way that was like uber professional and like I wanted, all the nice graphics and all the nice things and all the nice, uh what's it called? What did I call it last time? All the frills. I wanted to do with all the frills, but uh, it just ain't work out that way. At least not for the timeline that I wanted for this. Um, I wanted to start. I wanted to get started having these conversations because I feel like right now is just not a time where I can afford to be quiet. It's just not one of them times. Um, it's an interesting time right now in the world, but also in the country, and I just have been itching to talk about so many different things, and I can't wait on nobody else to be ready. I can't wait on nobody else to and it's not a knock. I highly appreciate all of the support that I've received, all of the people who have reached out to me to help me out in some type of way or to give me some guidance or to give me some advice. Highly appreciate it. So please don't take it the wrong way. I just I have been having some alone time with God, some conversation, and y'all know me. Y'all know me. If you gonna have an issue with me talking about God on my own platform, you might need to exit stage left because I'm gonna talk about God. I was talking about God when it wasn't my platform. So if you don't like that, you're not gonna like this. But all that being said, I have just been in some very intentional conversations with God lately about what it is that He has called me to do and the things that I am, gifted at and blessed to be able to do and just the mantle that is on my life, the calling, the purpose that is on my life. And God has had some very interesting answers lately in terms of how he wants me to move forth with this. Like I said, I highly appreciate all of the offers to help me and to guide me and to advise me and all those things. And I still will be calling on pretty much all of you to guide me through some things as I, transition through this process of creating my own platform. But as it stands, this is the way that has made the most sense, um to kind of get things started and to really jump into this thing. I do, over time I will, get better. Right now my background, I'm not the happiest with it because it looked it looked like it looked, but it's fine. It's for now anyway. It's fine as long as I am having a conversation with you all that is meaningful enough. I feel like y'all can ignore the rest of this back here, and so can I. Um, as far as like I said, all the frills and stuff, it'll come at a later date. But for right now, it's me and you, friend. I use as much of the features of Restream as possible to kind of make it look like something special. So I hope that's enough for the time being. But with all that being said, um, yeah, let's get some conversation. By the way, because I'm using Restream, the way that I am going to, at least for starting out, the way that I'm going to be like kind of taking quote unquote calls will be a slight difference. Instead of having giving y'all like a phone number to call, I can send you a link. So if at any point you want to talk to me, or you want to, jump in on the conversation with me, or you want to have a one-on-one convo with me in front of all the people, just ask me to send you the link to join the Restream. And because I have certain capabilities on my end, I can, if you don't want to be on video, I can just turn your video off and you can be heard, through the audio of Restream or whatever. But that'll be the way that I'm using for right now. So if at any point during this episode or the podcast or whatever that you want to join in, just let me know. I'll send you a link and we'll make it work. And we'll have that conversation that way. But all that being said, let's jump into it. I really, 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 really wanted to have my first episode just kind of talking about some of the stuff that happened in Lincoln Heights. Definitely got to talk about Commissioner Alicia Reese's investigation into the events that happened on that bridge there between Lincoln Heights and Evendale. And some of the things that her investigation has uncovered. Definitely gonna jump into some things that were discussed during the State of the Union. Um, it just there's so many things that I have to say about the State of the Union. I want to say that this might have been maybe the second State of the Union that I've watched pretty much all the way through. Um, and it made me do a lot of googling, which I'm excited about because I'm somebody who enjoys, actually getting to the truth and learning a new thing. And I learned a lot. Fact checking, doing my own version of fact checking of Donald Trump and all the things that he said during his State of the Union. So we'll be talking about that. And of course, I got a few other little things that I want to talk about as well. Somebody said you got that updated version of Restream that Emmanuel doesn't have. Well, there are different versions of Restream. So there's the free version, and then there's the like basic version, which is the one I got because I'm not gonna pay $40 a month for this. I'll pay 15, but I ain't paying 40. But there's different versions of Restream. But I mean, to each their own. Um, I love you, Emmanuel, but I also think that you know, you still an OG. You still have your issues with technical stuff when it comes to the internet. So I think that some of that is just user error, but it's okay. It's cool. I still love you. Please don't be mad at me. But the stuff that I've done to my restream is not nothing like hard to do. It's just you kind of plug stuff in where you need to be and you go about your business. But all that said, you see you distracted me. But let's start off with Lincoln Heights. So the events of February, what was that, February 6th? That Friday, February 6th. If you don't know by now, I don't know what to tell you. It was a mess. Basically neo-Nazis occupied the overpass between Lincoln Heights and Evendale and caused a ruckus, which is what they were there for. That was the entire purpose of them being there. They came to upset some black folks in a historically black neighborhood. That was their whole entire purpose to be there. It was nothing other than that. They came to agitate and aggravate and That's what they did. Um, and in response to that, I want to make this very clear. It was young black men and eventually women who were first on the response to that situation, who were first to show up and make their presence known and drive out hate for Lincoln Heights. I want to reiterate this because it's going to lead me into a bigger conversation, a conversation that I've been having, I've been trying to have, but I need us to really grasp this concept. It was young, black men and eventually women who responded to the events of Lincoln Heights when it happened. They were the first to show up. They were the first to dole out some straightening when it came time to deal with neo Nazis in a way that they could understand. I have to say that because, again, in all my couple of years when I was in radio, having these conversations with majority of what would be considered my elders, there has been this running narrative that young people don't care, that we don't show up, that we don't have the same like intentionality and the same, desire to deal with oppression and deal with, racism and all these things. Like, we just, either we are too dumb to understand it or we just are too apathetic to care. Clearly that's not the case. If I got to be real with you, that's never been the case. I think what we are having to do when we think about how we deal with those kind of situations or just deal with oppression and systemic racism and all those things in general, we got to stop. We must stop having conversations that do not yield action. That's number one. And that's also an obvious one. That's a given. We got to stop having conversations that don't yield action. But we also have to stop having conversations that only serve the purpose of assigning blame or assigning frustration, or simply, I'll even say this. We got to stop having conversations that only have serve the purpose of holding others accountable. And I want you to understand why I'm saying this. There's nothing wrong with holding each other accountable. There's nothing wrong with that. But it becomes a pointless, meaningless conversation when that's the only point of it, is just to hold somebody accountable. Because if you don't give them, it's like, it's kind of like the concept of trying to teach your child the principle of not only being accountable for their actions, but for making amends for said action. If the only thing that you're teaching your child is when they do something wrong, they should say sorry, and that's it, you've not actually given that child any sort of principle. And I don't know that people understand that or know that. If the only thing that you teach your child when they do something wrong is to say sorry, is to say I apologize, you've not finished that lesson. If you haven't also taught your child that there's more to do than to just say sorry, there's more to do than to just say I apologize, but you actually have to then find a way to make amends for whatever wrong that they've done, if that's possible, you've not fully taught the lesson that they needed to learn in that moment. It's why we are now looking at a country that thinks that it's okay for them to just say sorry and not actually make amends for the wrongdoing that is done. As a community, whenever when outside of reparations, outside of reparations, when we look at the different movements that we've used to propel ourselves forward, I need us to really think about what made those movements effective. It wasn't just demanding an apology from our oppressor. It was when we met our oppressor with, not only do I need you to acknowledge the systemic oppression that you've imposed on my people. I now need you to make amends in these ways. Do we not all agree that that's a better strategy than just to simply hold them accountable? Am I tripping? Because the goal was never to just hold our persons accountable. The goal has always been to hold them accountable and then for them to make amends for the things that they've been held accountable for. Because otherwise, what is the point? What do we gain from being told, my bad, I'm sorry, I apologize? What do we gain from that? In the very same way, when we're having conversations between us, when we're having conversations within our communities, within our core groups, within our bubbles of community, when we're having conversations about how we address racism, how we address oppression, how we address the different things that affect our communities, cool, let's hold each other accountable. I do it often with my OGs, even though they hate it. I do it often, and vice versa. Our OGs, you must hold me and my peers accountable too, because we've been slacking off. We sure have. You so right. In certain ways, we have 100% been slacking off. But at least the things that what I try to do when I hold my OGs accountable is I try to give my OGs ways to make amends for the things that they have failed at, or maybe not even failed at, you just weren't very effective at. And so if the gist of all of your conversations when you're dealing with young black people and you want them to partake in the movements that are meant to propel us forward, if the only conversation you're having with them is just to hold them accountable and it comes with no actionable items, why are you talking? Why are you having conversations, period? Why should we trust you to say anything? If your desire to hold somebody accountable is the only thing that's driving this conversation, what that says to me is that you don't actually want progress. What it says to me is that you want an opportunity to feel superior to another person. You want an opportunity to feel better than another person. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. That don't get us nowhere. You feeling good about yourself gets us nowhere. Vice versa, millennials and young people. We cannot continue to harp on our OG's shitty delivery forever. We can't afford to do that. What does that gain us? How does that push us forward? We cannot continue to have the same old conversation over and over about how our OGs don't teach us nothing, how they're not nice to us, how they are, they demand respect from us without giving it. We done said that a million times over at this point. How do we now deliver actionable items for our OGs to better connect with us? This is a two-way street. OGs, if you feel like you young people are apathetic, or they don't care, or they don't know, or they're uneducated, or they're uninformed, after you get done making all those criticisms, how about you collaborate with young people who actually do care, who are actually informed? How about you collaborate with those young people? Because it ain't all of us. Collaborate with the ones that you do think care, that you do think are informed, and be open to an innovative tactic. Be open to a conversation that will not be steeped in the same old, same old. Because the same old is not gonna work. We have to be, you cannot call yourself intellectually honest if you actually think that the same old ways are gonna work right now in 2025. Logically, that makes no sense. So what are we prepared to do? What kind of effective conversations are we actually prepared to have? Vice versa. My peers, millennials, Gen Zs. If you old enough, probably Gen Alpha. After you get done complaining about how your OG's delivery is trash, after you get done complaining about, the same old stuff we complain about. Man, we ain't got no real OGs left, man. We ain't got no. Yes, we do. They're not as prominent and overwhelmingly an overwhelming in amount as they might have been at one time, but we still got some. Do you ever actually go into the rooms and sit in at the meetings that they ask you to come to even say something like that? I bet you don't, because I do. When my OGs ask me to be somewhere or to show up or to be in the room and while they're having a conversation, I be there. That's how I know it ain't all of them that's unwilling to collaborate with us. All the OGs that I feet that I sit under, they are begging me to bring all my friends to these meetings so they can have some innovative, effective conversation. They're begging me. We cannot continue to move in these spaces of generalized thought if we want to get things done. It's not effective. If we continue limiting the conversations that we're having about things like this, we're never going to get anywhere. We keep asking ourselves, why haven't we had a powerful movement since the 60s or the 70s? Because we're having very limited conversation. Our conversations are very small. We don't actually, I don't know if we actually leave away from all of these speaking engagements and these lectures and these think tanks and these forums. Do we ever actually leave these conversations with actionable items? Things that we can do after we done talking? Or do we just sit and discuss it and then go on about our business? I feel like I've seen more of the latter lately. I'll say this. About a week or two ago, I was invited to be a panelist for the Frederick Douglass Foundation of Ohio. Um, as they had Dr. Umar come and speak to, the people who were at the Black Wall Street event at the Woodlawn Rec Center. Um, I very much so enjoyed doing that event. I will enjoy, whenever Miss Linda Matthews, shout out to her who invited me to come and be a panelist. Um, I will thoroughly enjoy doing the other events that she will have me come and be a panelist on as well. And I know that a lot of people were reaching out to me and saying, Raven, that's a Republican organization, right? You know that what that is, right? You I'm well aware because I do my research. I'm well aware. I don't have any loyalty or alignment to any political party. That's number one. I've been said that. I typically mostly vote Democratic because Democratic politicians, when they campaign, they typically say the things that I like to hear. They typically put forth policies that I would like to vote yes or vote into law. So I typically vote Democratic. But I'm not opposed to having conversations with Republicans if it's going to be effective for my community overall. I refuse to be that small minded in my thinking to believe that there is nothing having a conversation with a Republican can teach me. Black people are not a monolith. We don't all have the same beliefs or understandings or feelings about certain issues. But instead of perpetuating the division that was given to us by our oppressor, I would much rather come together, have a conversation, an intelligent one that doesn't consist of name calling and backbiting and all those other things, and walk away from that conversation with actionable items that, even if you're a Republican and I'm a Democrat, as Black folks, we can agree that this might be the best strategy moving forward for the entire community. I feel like that makes a lot more sense than completely neglecting to have conversation because somebody doesn't vote the same way I vote. We might not vote the same, and that does present certain issues. I'm not saying that it doesn't. But when it comes to prioritizing Black business, when it comes to prioritizing certain other social issues that ain't got nothing to do with voting, we might disagree on some things and we might just be able to strategize together on how to address those issues. Who would have known? We got to stop limiting the conversations that we have to just entertainment or an opportunity to feel superior or an opportunity to down somebody or to be insulting. It's a time and a place for that stuff. If you want to be entertained, it's a time and a place for it. Truthfully, I could give you a time and a place right now if I wanted to, but I'm gonna be classy today and leave that alone. However, if we actually have any intention, if we have any intention of actually seeing movement, our conversations have to be broader. They have to be bigger. We have to get to a place where we're actually collaborating with one another. I know that we've majorly lost our sense of community. And that's been both on our own volition as well as our oppressor. They are doing, have done, and will probably forever do everything they can, everything in their power to divide us as a community. Because they know with us divided, we get nothing done. They know this and they perpetuate it. That's why we have to think radically about community. We just do. Our desire, our urge to unify ourselves amongst each other it has to come from a radicalized place. It has to. Our division is too optimal for oppression. It's too easy. At least make it hard. Why we don't want to make it hard for our oppressor to oppress us? Why are we so determined to make it easy? Let's make it hard. When it comes to what happened in Lincoln Heights, take that as an example of the fact that we can come together. We all know that we have a common enemy. We know this. We understand who that enemy is. And we might not always agree about how to deal with our enemy or the motivations for the things they do. We might not always agree about that, but we know who the enemy is. We know. The investigation that Commissioner Reeves conducted, where she revealed through asking the right questions and holding the right people accountable, and not just her. Shout out to the Lincoln Heights Community Council. Shout out to Durance Daniels. His foot been on Evendale neck for a minute. He has led the charge on a number of things that are happening right now in the city, but especially in Lincoln Heights. Shout out to all of the Black leaders who showed up and used their platforms and used their voices to make some noise, to hold some folks accountable. Shout out to them. But through all of them holding the mayor of Evendale accountable and then the police force, the law enforcement of Evendale accountable, we now know The neo Nazis didn't have no permit, so they were illegally gathered. If you believe what the mayor say, he said they had no idea that they were there. That's what he says. That's what he claims. We had no idea there. And you say this after allowing, I could be wrong, was it the chief or the sheriff of Evendale Police to make a national statement on national news that there were no laws broken? There were a number of laws broken. From the videos I've seen, since now you say you had no idea they'd be there and there was no permit, that's breaking the law. Ha- Posting signs up there, that's breaking the law. Having weapons that close I'm sorry, what is it? I believe it's you're not allowed to have those kinds of weapons that close to a school property or a school ground, something like that. That's against the law. There were a number of laws broken. We also saw the video where it was an Evendale officer who helped them load up and escorted them over to that bridge. We saw that with our own eyes. We also saw on the body cam footage that one of the guys didn't have a mask on at one point. Why don't, now that you know they were there without a permit, now that we've seen them break the law multiple times, where are we at with with making arrests? Where are we at with because if you get one, I'd venture to say that you might be able to get all of them just by pure association. I'm quite sure a lot of those guys probably golf together or go to church together or work together. They not all just some random strangers who met on the internet. I bet we won't see no arrest made though. I I need for Deron Daniels to continue putting his foot on their neck. I need for Commissioner Reese to continue putting her foot on their neck. I need all of us to truly understand what it is we're watching go down in the city of Cincinnati right now. Because what we're watching go down in the city of Cincinnati right now is happening all over the country. Most of us know that, but in case you didn't, it's happening all over the country. That same neo-Nazi group was just in Columbus. There have been neo-Nazi demonstrations all over the country since the election. So what are we doing? What are we gonna do? Well, what we've been doing, we have been boycotting Evendale, all businesses in Evendale. Or at least I have. I can't speak for nobody else. I have. I am following the direction of the people who have made themselves in charge of leading that movement, which have been, for the most part, what I've seen, have been people like Deron Daniels, Councilman Deron Daniels. Whenever I get any new information, I spread it everywhere. I make sure to do that so that we can all be on one accord. Deron ain't that much older than me. I believe Deron is a millennial, if I'm not mistaken. The same, the same quote unquote young person that the narrative is we don't care, we're uninformed, and all these other things. That's the guy you invite to have those hard conversations. so that he can then do what he knows how to do best, which is to relate to other millennials. I am doing my best to take the information that I get from my elders and break it down to my peers in a way that they understand so that we can all be on one accord. This and I'm saying all of this if in cases the concept is lost. I'm saying all of this because I need us to get back to radicalized community. I need us to understand the intricacies of community. I need us all to be personally accountable for community. If the only time you have these conversations is when you are in the Facebook comments of somebody's live, on somebody's podcast or somebody's talk show, you're not doing enough. I'm not trying to chastise you. I'm letting you know something. If the only time you have this conversation is in this Facebook live chat, you're not doing enough, babe. I don't care how old you are, whether you are OG or my peer, you're not doing enough. If this conversation is not being had in your close circle, you're not doing enough. If after church on Sunday, when you're done praising God and you're done getting the word and you're done getting inspired and blessed for the week, you're not also having a conversation on how to better support your community, you're not doing enough. We don't have time for half-ass effort. And everybody can't do everything, but everybody can do something. We get so comfortable with phrases like that. Well, everybody can't do everything. Yeah, true, because everybody don't have the same set of skills. But everybody can do something. Everybody can have a conversation. Everybody, because we all I'm broadcasting right now on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you have any form of any of those social medias, why haven't you shared this video? And I don't mean that for my own purposes or for trying to get me popularized or none of that. But since we having the conversation, why don't everybody you know that you're listening to the conversation? Just curious. Why is it that when we're given the chance to actually move and maneuver as community, we don't take it? The entire point of social media is to build community. And we don't utilize it in the ways that we absolutely could and should to see the progress that we actually want to see. The young people that you think don't care or are uninformed, they on social media every day, like clockwork, multiple times a day. You simply sharing a video like mine, or maybe whatever other programming that you listen to that you think that is having some good conversation about what needs to be done in the community. What's stopping you from sharing that? From sharing that information? And then not only just sharing it, because that's the easy thing to do is just press the share button, but actually taking what you've heard during that conversation or what you read in the comments and then actually producing words and sounds out of your mouth with people around you. Do you and your family actually sit and discuss what you all can do to contribute to community? Just a question. We say things like we've got so away from community. We just don't have community no more. We just visit take a village and we ain't got no village no more. Why do you think that is? day to day? How do you actually function as part of a village? Or or is that just something nice that you like to say? This is a genuine question. Do you just like saying that stuff or do you actually mean it? What we're watching right now happen in Lincoln Heights, that's village. That's community. And you know what? It could be even better than that. All of the different movements. They just restored Lincoln Heights Elementary. That was community. Why we can't do that in every other black neighborhood? What's stopping us from doing that? What's stopping us from holding different community councils as accountable and showing up to those meetings, to those council meetings, and making our presence known? What's stopping us from doing that? If there's an answer to that question, I'd love to hear the answer so that we can actually then figure out what we need to do to change it, to fix the issue. I know there's conversation that's being had about the city hall meetings where they don't want to keep doing them at 2 p.m. in the middle of the day when people at work. Okay, cool. How do we fix that? I've heard people have that conversation. If every community council meeting is not at an opportune time for you to attend, maybe you should be then inquiring about how you can make your voice heard in some other way. Who gonna be the designated person to change up they schedule to go make our voices heard? Who gonna be that person? Who gonna step out on that limb? We all can't be. It's a whole bunch of people who cannot, for whatever reason, change their work schedule, but somebody can, so they can be at that meeting and voice our issues and bring forth the things that we want to see in our community. It's somebody who can do it, or there should be somebody whose task it is to understand the procedures and how to change them so that people can attend those meetings. Who's willing to make that sacrifice? Or are we just going to continue to have pointless conversations? Limited conversations. Hearing ourselves talk and doing nothing. We're watching something beautiful happen in Lincoln Heights right now. That started with hatred. That started with disrespect. We're watching something beautiful happen right now over there. My peers are all in the midst of it. Clearly, there is a desire and a heart to be there and to show up. How do we maximize that? That shouldn't just live in Lincoln Heights. We should be seeing that all over the city right now. We should be so inspired. We should be so proud and so inspired that we should be looking for ways to recreate that same movement in every black neighborhood in this city. Why ain't we doing it? And if we are, you need to be louder about what you're doing. I know over in Avondale, there's a meeting that takes place on Saturdays where they're trying to figure out how they can hold congressmen accountable and senators accountable and all of our elected officials in Ohio. I know that's happening because I'm at that meeting when it happens. And I don't even live in Avondale. The reason why our movements feel so fickle and feel so flimsy and fizzle out so quick is because we be doing a whole lot of talking and not enough moving. Our conversations reach a certain limit and then they die, and so does the movement. Cause ain't nobody actually willing to sacrifice nothing, not time, not money, not nothing. And it ain't just elected officials. We can have all of our complaints and all of our gripes with the people that we vote into office all we want to, but if we not ready to get to work for us, what real expectations can you actually have? I understand that under a democracy, that's the purpose. You vote somebody into an elected position so that they can handle all the things that you cannot handle day to day. But it's still a whole lot of stuff that you can and you just refuse to. Young and old. That ain't got no age limit on it. I'll give credit where credit is due. The OGs, they knew something about sacrifice. Oh, they knew something about sacrifice. I feel like me and my peers struggle with that. If I'm just keeping it honest. While we were being taught how to sacrifice in other ways, sacrificing for the movement was not taught to us. It wasn't. We were taught about our elders sacrifice, but we were never taught that we too must also be willing to sacrifice. We was never taught that. And I can say that. We have been given all the great stories about all of the great black leaders who sacrificed and did what they had to do to make sure that we was cool. But we were never actually given a lesson plan for sacrificing when it comes to the community. We were never given that. That's why it's so hard for us to do so. And that's the I think that's the part that be missing when we be having some of these conversations. Y'all be mad at like our OGs sometimes get mad at us because we have such a resistance to making certain sacrifices. And I get it because without sacrifice nothing gets done. But who dropped the ball on teaching us how important sacrifice was? You taught us what it was, but you didn't tell us how important it was, how integral and essential it was and will forever be if we actually decide to get to this thing called progress, called equity and equality. We was never given that because we were too busy, or not even we, but those who were responsible for giving that to us was too busy having conversations trying to hold us accountable for stuff that we had no hand in. You hate that I'm lazy. You hate that I don't care about nothing, but you forgot to teach me how not to be lazy and how to care about stuff. What sense do that make? I'm just saying, if we really want to, if I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna move on. If we actually give a damn about what happened in Lincoln Heights a couple of weeks ago, if watching black people come together to support that community actually made us as proud and inspired us as much as we claim it do every day online, if that's really what we mean when we say that, that shit should have triggered a chain reaction in every other black neighborhood in this city. Has it? It's not too late. We still got all the time in the world. Actually, though, we don't, because if we take too long, it'll be more the same. So actually, I take that back. We don't got all the time in the world because we don't have time for more of the same. We currently are sitting up under a president who just stood up in front of the entire Congress and on national TV and said America is no longer a woke nation. And people clapped for that. Like that was a good thing. He stood up for almost what, an hour, 2 hours, and told lie after lie, even redefining words that already had a definition that didn't need to be refined, and diminished the actual intent of them. Things like DEI and the phrase itself woke. That man got on national TV and said that he has officially freed the country of the tyranny of DEI. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. He defined that as tyranny. He labeled that as tyranny, as something that we should all have felt oppressed by. I don't know if we fully understand what the word tyranny means. As a matter of fact, and I need to turn that light on because it's getting dark in here. But let me go ahead and Google that word. Tyranny. Cruel and oppressive government or rule. He called DEI tyranny. That diversity, equity, and inclusion could ever be seen as oppressive. What? You know who thinks that things like diversity, equity, and inclusion are oppressive? You know who thinks like that? I'll give you one hint. It's not somebody who has ever actually been oppressed. It's not somebody who has actually ever been denied opportunity based on their skin color or their gender or their disability. He proudly said it, and half of our nation's representatives stood on their feet and cheered. And then they had the audacity, as after everything was said and done, had the audacity to chastise Democrats for being stone faced and not clapping for that ridiculousness, for not agreeing with everything that was said. Had the audacity to censure the only Democrat to stand up and actually present himself as the voice of reason in that room. The little signs and stuff was cute. That was cute. It was real cute, real performative and cute. But there should not have been, if I'm just gonna be honest, every Democrat in that room should have got censured. Every single one of them should have got censured. Sitting quiet and saying nothing. I get that that was supposed to be like some kind of protest or something, but it didn't impress me. Not as somebody who voted for the kind of representation that would actually represent me. That don't impress me. That image is what a lot of young voters have felt about Democrats forever now. Is that y'all sit still and do nothing. And that's the picture that you gave them? That's what you thought was the best strategy. To sit still, say nothing, and be performative. Okay. And that's also the issue, again, that a lot of people are having with Democrats right now. Like I said, I will probably continue to vote Democrat. But I need it to be understood that the reason why a lot of young people are having a hard time being able to tell what who you actually should vote for, who actually does give a damn about the things that that affect you, is because the view, the perception is exactly what we saw at the State of the Union address. Is that y'all sit still and y'all say nothing when fuckery is abound. There's no way Rep. Al Green should have been the only one getting censured the other night. Let me see. Are we back? Okay, cool. Let me turn this light on real fast. Oh, it just it 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 was it rubbed me the wrong way. It rubbed me the completely wrong way. And I don't know if Democrats are actually getting it. I don't. I don't know if they're getting it. I love Jasmine Crockett. I love her. I think that she does what she's supposed to do. She holds people accountable. She don't let people slide with stuff. I love that about her. But babe, I don't want to see you doing TikTok dances. Now's not the time for that. There's nothing appealing about that. I don't want to see you dance to a Kendrick Lamar song. I want to see y'all doing stuff. There's a midterm election coming up. Why aren't y'all flooding the internet with information? Why aren't y'all flooding social media with a game plan? If there is a democracy left at the end of these 4 years, we will have another opportunity for a brand new president. Why are we not being given choices now? It's never too soon. Why are we not being introduced to viable candidates now? We saw what happens when you don't prepare a candidate in enough time. Donald Trump campaigned for 4 years straight. We saw what happens when Democrats half-ass a campaign with Kamala Harris. We saw what happens when you do that. We should have saw her them whole 4 years. We should have seen so much of Kamala that we should have been asking where the hell is Joe? So many opportunities are being missed on so many different levels. And it's irritating. I really was gonna sit here and go through every single lie that was told. I really was. But I just maybe some other time. I need for us as black folks, I need us to start being more radical about our sense of community and not just continue talking about it, but I also need for politically for Democrats, if you want and you desire to restore our democracy, I need y'all to start acting like y'all got some sense. I need there to be some strategy and not just a chance to make a moment. We will not survive off of just a moment. The Democratic Party should be in full swing of a movement right now. It is in adversity when you do the most work. Y'all are acting defeated. And is giving a bad impression to young voters. Y'all are too quiet. Y'all are playing too many games. Y'all are playing checkers and they over there playing chess. They've been playing chess for years. That's why they in the position they in. I don't want to see no more damn TikTok dances. I'm sick of that. I got bills to pay. I got a family to take care of. The cost of living is increasing daily. I don't give a damn about you knowing a Kendrick Lamar song, Jasmine. I don't. Let the entertainers entertain. You're a politician. And again, I mess with Jasmine. But babe, now is not the time for you to be doing TikTok dances. It's not the time. Do what you're good at. Because the TikTok wasn't even all that good. Do what you're good at, sis. Spread information. Fact check the bullshit that's coming out that administration. And if you want to make it relatable, get with other millennials. Cause that TikTok stuff, that's some old Gen Z shit. Get with millennials. Millennials right now are like like the oldest millennials are like mid 40s. The youngest are like, I want to say the youngest millennial right now is like 28, 27. They paying bills. They fresh, they've been out of college. All that TikTok stuff is for college age. It's for college age young people. We don't give a damn about none of that. We raising kids. We in the middle of trying to buy a house and it's messed up housing market. We are transitioning from one career to another. That's what we're doing right now. We don't care about TikTok. We don't care about being entertained. We want to know what's happening. We want to know who we can be looking to as viable leadership in the next 4 years. It's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of work to do. Everybody has a lot of work to do. We gonna survive this next 4 years. If you would like, I think somebody sent me a message and said they couldn't see my Facebook Live. I'm not sure why. It should be on Facebook Live. Last time I looked, it was on Facebook Live. Yeah, I'm live on Facebook. But if you would like to partake in the conversation, like I said, I'll post a link in the chat. Let me see. I'll try to post it everywhere. Copy. Da, da, da. How can I post in the chat? Well, let me do that. I don't know if it'll let me do that. Oh, let me see. Hmm. Matter of fact, I can do it from here. Okay. So it'll only let me do like a certain number of people at a time. So I'm gonna see if it'll let me do it. Are you gonna let me do it? Now I don't know if y'all gonna be able to like copy and paste it, but we gonna see. And okay. So this is the link. That is the link if you would like to join the stream or whatever the case may be. You might have to like either I don't know if they'll let you copy and paste it, but you might just have to type it if you feel like doing all that. But as of right now, that's the only way that I can get you to join the stream with me. You just join the little thing, and then it'll put you back. It'll do something where it'll say like I'll put you backstage or something like that, and then I can add you in. And if you don't want to be on video, I can just turn your video off, or you can turn your video off, or whatever the case may be. But I know that was a long little monologue for like about an hour, but I just need to get that off my chest. Like mostly about our sense of community. I just need for us to think a lot more. I need us to be a lot more or actionable when it comes to that. We cannot just continue to have a conversation about how we are so lacking community, but then we are offered the chance to be community, we don't take it. What does that do for us? It's not gonna do nothing for us. I don't want to keep having pointless conversation. I don't want to keep like there's a time, like I said, it's a time and a place to entertain, but it's not always time to entertain. How many of us are willing to make them sacrifices that are required to rebuild our communities so that we can all become one collective community? That being said, I pray that my sentiments didn't fall on deaf ears today. I pray that. I really do. I also want to touch on a few other things that I thought were interesting. Um, that I saw in the news. Um, real briefly, I wanted to mention, funnily enough, after the State of the Union address, House Speaker Mike Johnson was arrested for a DUI. After leaving the speech last night or the night before. Um, I just found that absolutely hilarious because like that is the state of the country that we live in right now. Watching the State of the Union address and watching everything that's unfolding with our government right now, it really does look like or feel like rather we are caught in some reality TV show. And like we're both the audience but also part of the cast, and it sucks. Like it's a terrible fucking show. It's a terrible show. Like the whoever is writing the show is a terrible writer. That's how it feels. As indignant as he was sitting up there behind Donald Trump saying all that mess, telling all them lies and speaking in all that hyperbole, he was so indignant and so prideful. That same night you get arrested for a DUI. These are the people who are responsible for our government. Oh, okay, cool. Also in the news, I want to talk about um. So I wanted to talk about. Matter of fact, before I move off of the State of the Union address, because there was so many things that happened with it. This was something that I learned watching the State of the Union and then having to fact check it. All of them things that Donald Trump said that Doge had uncovered all the fraud and all the money that was being spent that we didn't have the capacity to spend, and that all the social security fraud that he listed off at all the ages of 100 plus, all these millions of people who were receiving Social Security and Doge found out about it and put a stop to it. Fucking lies. You're a liar. You lied. As a matter of fact, y'all lie so much. Elon Musk, the last time we saw Elon Musk on TV was when he stood next to Donald Trump and he told everybody to go check his receipts for all of the things, all the money that Doge found, all the places that Doge found to cut funding and to save the taxpayers' money, all of those things. After he got done listening to all that stuff, he said, "Well, you can go to the Doge website and check the receipts. You can check the wall of receipts." Well, several media outlets checked those receipts, and ever since there have been almost daily revisions to that website, updating and correcting the inaccurate information that has been posted on it. How do you tell somebody to go check the receipts? And when they go check the receipts, they tell you that that information is inaccurate. And then days later, you still continue to quote the same inaccurate information as if their website is not receiving daily revisions. You told me to check the receipts, and when I checked the receipts, I found out you was lying through your teeth. But you still got on national TV in front of the entire nation and told them same lies. He said, matter of fact, the man said that he had found funding to make mice transgender. That is not, that's not what was, that's not it. That's not true. That's a lie from the pits of hell. Let me explain something real quick. Transgenic and transgender are two different things. Transgenic and transgender are two different things. That research that was being done on those mice was transgenic. They were implanting those mice with human genes so that they could test on them for medical research. That is not the same as spending millions of dollars to turn mice transgender. Not the same thing. Let's also talk about the fact that he said that there were millions of dollars going to Mozambique for the purpose of male circumcision. Let's talk about that for a second. See, when you state things like that and you don't provide context, it does sound like a ridiculous concept. Why the hell would the American government be funding circumcision for men in Mozambique? What does that have to do with anything? I'll tell you what that has to do with anything. It is for the purpose of hampering the HIV and AIDS epidemic. Because what medical researchers have found is that men who are circumcised have a lesser chance of spreading and catching HIV and AIDS. And so, in order to curtail that risk, they were giving those men circumcisions. But when you don't add that context, it sounds ridiculous. Majority of the other stuff that he named, I could not. I promise to God, I Google searched it for 2 days straight, and most of that stuff I couldn't even verify because I do my research. And anything that did pop up on a Google search, when I finally found the context for it, it made complete sense why we would be spending money on that. As a matter of fact, majority of the things that he claimed that Doge found and cut funding for was inaccurate. That man sat up there and claimed what it was like over $500 billion that Doge was able to give back to the American taxpayer, first of all, that figure in itself is unsubstantiated. They don't know where the hell he pulled that figure from. Doge can't even tell you where he pulled that figure from. Because when you go through the wall of receipts that are on the Doge website, majority of that stuff is not due to fraud. It's not due to spending taxpayer money in that amount. At most, they may have uncovered maybe, I don't know. I think the last figure I saw was like maybe 10 billion. If that could even be a wrong number because I don't even know if it was that high. But let's just use a round number. 10 million? I'm sorry, 10 billion? That is not the same as over $500 billion. It's not. All the government contracts that he has claimed to end to give that money back to the American taxpayer, that's not how that works. Most of those contracts were ending anyway and had already maxed out on their funding. Doge had nothing to do with that. Those contracts ended as they were supposed to. But you know what kind of candidate makes those kinds of claims? The kind of candidate who has no respect for the intelligence of his constituents. The kind of candidate who expects his constituents to believe everything out of his mouth without fact checking it. The kind of politician who knows that I don't ever have to provide any context for you to blindly agree with what I said. Because I said it. You're not going to question me because I said it. That's the kind of politician who tells those kinds of blatant lies. I can get away with saying anything I want to because you're not going to fact check me. And if I just so happen to be able to provide something, a sliver of the truth, I'm not going to give you any context for it. Because with context, this is not worth saying. This is the current government we have. This is the current administration we are under. One that has no respect for your intelligence. One that thinks it's perfectly okay to lie to you. Lie to your face. To sell you on the legitimacy of a department that every other day has to correct their website for inaccurate information. That's what a lot of people voted for. Gave that man a standing ovation last night for lying to y'all face. Elected officials stood to their feet and applauded that man for lying to your face. And just in case you was confused, I want to talk about Donald Trump. I'll talk about the line. Just then, I was talking about Elon Musk. That man lied to your face. Told you he was helping American government and taxpayers save hundreds of billions of dollars and lied to you. Just like your president. Every day that website changes with new information having to be corrected. The whole Social Security thing, where it's millions of people over the age of 109 receiving Social Security benefits, a fucking lie. In case you didn't know that. The guy who Trump put in charge himself of Social Security came out and said, that's not accurate. We are living in the Twilight Zone. At least that's what it feels like. We're living in the Twilight Zone. They had the audacity to criticize Democrats for not clapping and agreeing and being showing unification for the country as they are actively creating an economic divide in the country. How ironic. They are quite literally erasing the middle class. They are gutting federal spending that supports programs that make the lives of the American people easier. But what disgusts them is that Democrats wouldn't stand and clap in agreement with it. Who child? Watching that take place was it was disheartening, but I'm not going to let it discourage me. I am still very much so wanting Democrats to do more than just sit and stare and be mad. Like I keep saying, inaction does not inspire me, does not impress me. Simply having a conversation about something doesn't impress me. What are we doing? What is the movement? What steps are we taking? We got a midterm election coming up. Why do I feel like Democrats have been radio silent? Now is the time to start putting people in front of the public's face. Let us know what seats are up for grabs right now. That should be everywhere. There should not be any place on the internet, any social media space on the internet where people have not been made aware of what seats are up for grabs and who is eligible to take those seats. There's no reason for it. This is we can't afford to just well people should do their own research. Yeah, okay, cool, but you know it. You don't gotta do the research. You know. You are on the front lines. You got that information readily available to you. Share it. Create an action plan. Start campaigning. It really ain't rocket science. Put down your phone and stop doing TikTok dances and actually get to work. Because we ain't got time. We don't have time for performance, for entertainment, for viral moments. It's time to get to work. And because I don't like leaving leaving conversations without actionable items. This is my actionable item for us today. This is my actionable item for everybody listening today. This is what I need you to do. I need you to become more informed and be more proactive in sharing information and thinking about the ways that you can make certain sacrifices to support your community. If you are not from the Lincoln Heights area, I need you to study what's going on over there and to figure out how you can apply that in the community that you live in. Go and do some Google searching or talk to somebody that you know who might have that information in the current neighborhood that you live in right now. What do you know about the community council? Who's on your community council? Do you know their names? Do you know when they meet? If they meet at a time that you don't have to be at work or have other obligations, are you willing to go sit at those community council meetings? Is there some other group that you can become a part of? Is there some other effort that you can be effective in, that you can dedicate your time to? If not your time, your knowledge, your money. Movements cost money. When you look at your miscellaneous funds that you use to buy fast food and all that other stuff, that you use to entertain yourself, how much of that are you willing to allocate to a group or organization that supports communities, that supports your community? What is something that you can be doing that you're not doing? What sacrifice are you willing to make? And then once you identify that, make it. It ain't got to be no long, hard conversation. Just make it. Just do it. I thank God for where He has me currently because I am in this position I am in right now. I have more free time than I know what to do with. And I'm using all of it to be effective, to be purposeful, to do something more than just talk. This whole podcast thing is just a very small part that I am playing in a bigger picture. I am ready to do the work. Because if I don't do the work, if I don't and if I don't encourage my peers to do the work, who gonna do the work when our elders and our OGs move on? I could be doing more. Even with all the things that I am currently on taking, I can do more. And I think that if you think about it long and hard enough, so could you. And with all that being said, I think I've been talking long enough. It's been an hour and a half. I was gonna get into a few other things, but I feel like that needed to be said today. Please radicalize your desire for a community. Please. We will never get anything done if we don't do it. Nothing will get done if you don't do it. If you don't take nothing else away from today, nothing will get done if you don't do it. Black women have understood that concept for eons. If I don't do it, it ain't gonna get done. I don't think that should just only be a concept that belongs to black women anymore. I think we all have to think in that way. If I don't do it, it won't get done. That is community. If I don't make sacrifices, it won't get done. That is community. Don't you say you want community if you're not willing to be a part of one. Community don't just exist for you to benefit from. You also have to be a resource within it. That's how it works. That's how it survives. Community is not just to take resources out of, but it's to put resources into it as well. How can you be a resource? I'm gonna leave y'all with that. I will see y'all next time. I will have to I don't know exactly what day of the week that I'm gonna settle on. I chose today because I got some stuff to do tomorrow and this weekend. But I don't know exactly what day of the week I'm gonna settle on. Somebody mentioned that I could probably do Mondays. We'll see how that go. Monday is like a really busy day for most people, so I don't know. But we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, I will definitely give y'all a heads up the next time I am here doing this and going live and doing all that stuff. But yeah, I will leave y'all with those thoughts. Please, again, radicalize your idea, your urge, your desire for community, and be what you want to see. And I'll see y'all next time. And yeah, just continue thinking about all the ways that you can be part of the the movement of the actual action of pushing that needle forward. That's why I named it Forward. That's why I named the podcast Forward. Because the desire is to encourage us to continue pushing the needle forward. I'll see y'all next time.